the Astros got their asses kicked by the Texas Rangers last night, 13-5, the final score. And unfortunately, the Astros were not able to pull even in the AL West. They get the day off today before a very difficult month ahead continues. I got to say, I thought in the first inning when Alex Bregman bombed that one, the home run, a 3-run shot to left field with just one out, followed up by Yordan Alvarez getting plunked by Haney, I forget his last name on the Rangers. He looked like he was about to completely fall apart. But for a while, that's all the Astros could do offensively. And the Rangers, they actually showed me something. And look, we are a show that lives in the present. We don't think about the past. We don't think about the future. We talk about the game that happened the night before. To this point in the year, even though the Rangers did win the first series between the Astros and Texas, no one respected them. And while I'm not saying I respect the Rangers, okay, they actually have a little bit of gusto, because I got to say, Marcus Semien last night showed some balls. I can't remember the last time that I saw the Texas Rangers show any balls. But Semien hit that home run after the game started to fall apart for Framber Valdez. Semien, after Yordan had been hit, was also hit by a pitch. And when that happened, I'm not really sure if it was intentional or not, but it was early in the count, and Semien looked pissed. Framber looked away, and it seemed like he seemed to unravel after that moment. So I don't think it was intentional because of just how much of a mess he was over the next couple of innings. But as you heard coming into the show, in his very next at-bat, Marcus Semien bombed one off of Framber. He stared him down the entire way around the bases. And then a little bit later, when Adolis Garcia, noted Astro killer, hit a grand slam, he was the first one to cross home plate, and he started talking trash with Martin Maldonado. Here is what Trevor Semien said about that exchange after the game from the Rangers clubhouse.
I told him when they hit the home run, I said, we're going to win this game. He said, no, it's just like when you were in Oakland. So when I was in Oakland, they won the division twice maybe when he was there. We won the division once. They beat us in the playoffs. And after I scored on Adolis grand slam, I told you we're going to win this game. And then all of a sudden their bench is out there and both of us are out of the game. I didn't want to get thrown out of the game. I just was talking to him. We've competed for a lot of years. And I never want to get thrown out of the game, but that's what happened.
It's pretty funny that Maldonado said this is just like Oakland, but last night, Marcus Semien, he gets to hold the title belt. When I first saw that, I wondered what was going down. Was this because Adolis Garcia flipped his bat? Was this because he jumped on home plate hard? No, Garcia was actually trying to calm the situation down. But Semien, who was pissed, perhaps understandably, decided to talk that ish, and last night he gets to talk that ish, which sucks. It does, especially when you're watching it on the Rangers broadcast, who were sounding a lot like a WWE broadcast there. After the game, Dusty Baker was also asked about the dust-up between Marcus Semien and Martin Maldonado.
When you jaw at a guy, you expect to get, something in return. And, Maldi wasn't going to go away like he was some little punk, you know what I mean? So they kicked them both out because they said Semien started it, but then Maldi, continued it and ignited, and they had to do something before things really got out of hand. What's the guy supposed to do?
I like it when Dusty Baker brings old man lines into there. OG line of, hey, what's he supposed to do? Act like a punk, back down? It's fun that there's finally a Donnybrook between these two teams. It was your typical baseball Donnybrook where nothing actually happened. It's a rather disappointing part of the sport. It does seem like a lot of the guys are getting along. I saw a picture that went viral after the game. I think it was Aroldis Chapman and Jose Altuve exchanging pleasantries in the outfield, and I'm just bummed out seeing that. I am. Now, someone had a great caption online saying these two are having a good old chuckle about effing over the Yankees. That's pretty fun. But yeah, there's a lot of friendliness that goes around in baseball. So even though it did come from the other side, even though it did come from the Texas Rangers, I thought that was an enjoyable moment in the game, and a game that obviously escalated very quickly and gave you a very poor taste in your mouth, especially with this day off. Because you think about the opportunities that you had. But I think that for once, the Rangers actually showed a bit of spine. We'll see what happens over the course of the next month when the Astros schedule gets very, very difficult. And if Texas is able to build any more ground in the AL West, because it definitely spoiled the return to the ballpark of Yordan Alvarez. And Heaney was really throwing up and in on Alvarez a bunch. You could argue the umpires let this thing get away, because also Framber Valdez, his very last pitch before he was taken out too, that one was high. I'm not going to act like I know what was going on in Framber Valdez's head. He was just off. And that is a little bit concerning. He looked shook. I don't think you can argue against that. He, for whatever reason, needed a couple of mound visits. And over the last month, his ERA has ballooned from 2.27 to 3.29. He's also allowed 5 home runs over that stretch compared to 6 the first 3 months of the year. So it feels like something's up with Framber. You hope that he's able to fix it. Ultimately, the Astros won this series. I think any Texas Rangers fan that is super excited about this, I think you should keep it in your pants a bit. But I also understand the jubilation from their side of things, given that there have been so many close games between these two teams this season, and that the Astros have won just about all of them of late. They needed a game like this. So it sucks. I saw a tweet a couple of days ago, I think it was on Monday, that was outlining how the Rangers broadcast just whines a lot. So the Rangers broadcast features Dave Raymond, and I believe the guy who was who was color commentary last night was former Major League pitcher C.J. Nitkowski. I gotta say, I'm not a fan of the broadcast from this perspective alone. I don't think that broadcasts that completely lack energy should be allowed. And maybe it was because at first the Astros were kicking them around, but it took the Rangers broadcast a while to show any enthusiasm towards the game of baseball. Hey, I fake it. Why can't they fake it? They're paid more than me. Just a thought. Anyway, these two on the broadcast were awful. And I could have pulled 12 clips of them whining, complaining, but I just pulled a couple. So when this game began, the Astros hit a 3-run homer. It's Alex Bregman. Yordan Alvarez is out the plate, and he gets plunked. Alvarez had just returned. I don't know if the Rangers were sensitive to that, but the last thing that any of us that follow the Houston Astros want to see is another random stint where Yordan Alvarez is on the injured list and we don't know which of his hands is injured, because it did feel like that was a possibility when that happened. So a couple of innings later, Marcus Semien is at the plate and Framber Valdez hits him. This is the Rangers broadcast reacting to that.
That seemed pretty obvious. It seemed very obvious and dangerous.
Here's the only thing, and I'll say the counter and trying to be objective because we feel bad for our guy and we know that Mark is not happy about it. If you're going to do that, if you're trying to stick up for Yordan Alvarez in that spot as a teammate, then you act like you meant to do it. I mean, he did it and then turned around and acted like it was a huge mistake and trying to be almost like apologetic about it as the warnings are now issued.
So it feels like the broadcast is implying that Valdez did that on purpose. I really do think, based off of the body language, and we all know that Framber Valdez is sometimes a tad skittish on the mound. We know that that happens with him from time to time. It just hasn't happened a lot recently. We thought that those were things that he had eliminated from his game post the awful 2021 World Series performance that he had against the Braves. We thought that was in the past, especially with all the consecutive quality starts that he had last year. And also it felt like he had adapted pretty well to the new pitch clock rules. But the last month hasn't been the case. And things just fell apart for him in this game. I really do think that he did not mean to do that. Now, I could be naive. I could be biased on that front. But the Rangers broadcast immediately assumed that was the case. And then on Framber Valdez's last pitch, the Rangers broadcast believed that was intentional, which it might have been. That one, okay, maybe there's a little bit more of a case. Here is a two-part wine fest of CJ Nitkowski, who really was upset for, honestly, a variety of reasons that I feel like weren't worthy of being upset about.
You don't have to hit a guy to get booted. I mean, Dusty Baker's going to come get him anyway, but you suspend him or you get him kicked out, he gets a suspension and a fine.
I think he knew that was his last pitch of the game. Or maybe, listen, the guys have done crazier things. Maybe he wanted that to be his last pitch of the game. Maybe he was just flat ready to get out of here.
Why do they get so much time? It's the second visit, isn't it?
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah, I know, but as soon as Dusty comes out, he's got to go. Huh? They don't get to waste all that time.
So, a couple of things to dissect here. First off, the implication that was intentional. Second, the implication that Framber was doing that so that Dusty would pull him from the game. And third, CJ Nitkowski had a full commercial break to settle down, and he continued to get mad at the fact that Framber Valdez didn't immediately leave the mound when Dusty Baker came out of the dugout to pull him from the game. His rant continues literally 3 minutes later.
So I've seen it a couple times, and it gets under my skin. If you've already had a pitching coach come out and visit, and then the manager comes out, that's it. He has to come out of the game. We know that. But yet they allowed Dusty Baker to walk there, talk to his pitcher for a second, and then say, give me the right-hander. Well, that gives the right-hander more time, the pitcher in the bullpen, to warm up if he was short on time. I think that should not be allowed.
3-1 now to Garcia. Well, I think maybe you're just a little bit sour.
At least Dave Raymond addressed the elephant in the room. He was more than a little bit sour. And this was all broadcast with Nitkowski. All broadcast long. A couple of people are bringing up that he pitched for the Astros back in the day and he wasn't very good for the Houston Astros. There was a lot of this. And I chose the wrong night to watch the game because when the Alex Bregman home run was hit, they didn't say a word. Like, it was just dead quiet because I think they knew. They were talking moments before about how this was a must-win game for the Rangers. And the home run happens. They didn't say anything. I'm wondering if Nitkowski threw his headset and we just didn't hear it.
I do love you, Paul Gallant, saying this doesn't seem like something to be getting mad at and questioning, did he throw his headset across?
But here's the difference, Sean. Like, when I'm mad about something that's very minor, I'm hilarious. See, you're even laughing at that. You know it's true. I am really entertaining when I'm biased or mad about really stupid stuff. It's part of the Paul Gallant Show charm. I don't understand how you can have no energy and be a constant whiner. This was my big issue with the Rockets broadcast with Bill Worrell and Matt Bullard. And Clyde Drexler, who would wake up in the middle of the broadcast and say, like, wow, that basket sure looked like a basket. Like, that broadcast drove me crazy because of how long they would complain about calls. And I thought to myself, okay, look, you could do that, but be funny when you do it. Lose your mind. Be a crazy person yelling at the TV. Like, if Bill Worrell did what Tommy Heinsohn Tommy Heinsohn, yes, for the Boston Celtics, but this old guy named Johnny Most, who sounded like he was like a chain smoker and was basically calling the Detroit Pistons yellow, gutless bastards in the middle of radio broadcasts. Like, had he gone that far, I think I would have liked Worrell a little bit more. But I don't want to make this about Worrell because Worrell is a legend here. I'm bringing it back to the Rangers broadcast. If you're going to complain and whine about stuff all broadcast long, you have to actually be entertaining in some way, shape, or form. And they have no idea how to do it. They're not as talented as me. Not many people are as talented as me. And it's fine. But I was torturing myself listening to that TV play-by-play. Torturing myself.
CJ Nitkowski played for 2, 4, 6, 8, looks like 8 teams. Am I reading this right? 2, 4, 6. Yeah, 8 teams. Astros, one of them. He played 1 year here. He had a 3.77 ERA.
Oh, that's not terrible.
With the Astros. That was the best ERA he posted his entire career.
Wow. Is he mad that they didn't bring him back? Is that
Yeah.
why this game felt a little more personal for him?
He pitched 43 games with the Astros. He pitched 18 over 2 seasons with the Rangers.
Anyway,
Mostly a Detroit Tiger.
should we listen, Sean, to the Rangers broadcast when they play their final series of the season against one another in September? Do we do this again? Do we want to hear more whiny CJ Nitkowski?
Yeah, I think maybe do. Yeah, I think you had to revisit it just to see where CJ's at later in the year.
Okay, we'll do it.